Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. Today we're going to have a look at Mohg, Lord of Blood from a design perspective. But first we need to know where we can actually find him. Similar to his brother, Morgott, we can find Mohgwyn at two different locations. His weak version is down here at the Cathedral of the Forsaken, underneath Leyndell. We had a look at the subterranean shunning grounds in the previous episode. There was a weaker version of him, and right here in the Mohgwyn Dynasty Mausoleum we can fight the real version. With real version I obviously mean the strongest version with his second phase and his full moveset. I advise you to equip the Purifying Crystal tier for this boss fight in your mixed physic. The crystal tier you can find right here at the Second Church of Marika. There we have one of Yura's events. His quest line will almost finish over there, and you have the chance to obtain the Purifying Crystal tier, which will get rid of a nasty special attack of his. Before I go in here, I equip my flasks because I'm pretty sure even though I'm invincible, he can still hurt me with his special move. I think I've tested this once before. So let's enjoy the cutscene first.
Dearest Mikola, you must abide alone a while. Welcome, honored guest, to the birthplace of our dynasty.
This cutscene is awesome. Oh, what is he doing? He can't see me. Where is he walking towards? Oh, always goofy what the AI is doing, but well. Have you seen how small Mohg's hand is in comparison to Mikola's hand over here? At least in the cutscene. Mikola must be huge as well. He's definitely bigger than Melania, despite them being siblings. But alright, let's start with his visual design. And of course, let's compare him to his brother, the visual design. Because, well, first of all, even though this is my favorite OST in the game, I want to have some silence, or maybe like this. Yeah, that's good, I think. Alright, let's compare these two brothers visually. Because this one is much more affected by the Omen Curse than his brother. He's even taking on this very demonic looking form, and, well, I think he's also embracing it. Almost all of his horns are now basically like his hair. He doesn't have a tail like his brother. And I think his skin color, yeah, his skin color is also much darker. Have a look at his face. One of his horns poked out his eye. And he didn't even do anything about it. I just imagine that these horns are growing like horns of any other animal, for example, where it's very slow. And he should have been capable of cutting his horn before it reaches his eye, but for some reason he thought this was a good idea right now. And he even has a beard made out of horns. Looks very cool. What's kinda strange is that his mouth seems to have no lips, so his mouth is constantly open. Only his teeth are like blocking off everything else from the mouth interior itself. And his his canines, I guess, also overgrown. So even if he had lips, he probably the teeth are probably would have poked out of the mouth itself. Now let's have a look at his hands, because it's getting transparent. I'm being too close to them, because he has this weird claw-like protrusion out of his hand, which is like, it's an extra digit, so it's not a transformed finger. It's in between his middle finger and his pointer finger? Index? No, I don't know how to call fingers in English. But looks very nasty, to be honest. Does he have the same growth on his other hand? Probably not. Otherwise, how is he holding his fork? It's not a trident, it's a fork. And compared to his brother, his clothing is much more delicate. He feels like royalty. I mean, they're born of royalty, and while Morgoth seems to be okay with the thought of dressing like a homeless person without any clothing, this one is the exact opposite, and it's reflected in their lore and in their storylines. Because while Morgoth was okay with the fact that he is being shunned by Leyndell, Mohg is not. He doesn't like the idea of being an outcast. He said basically, fuck it, I'm doing my own religion here, and this is what's happening. He might be a bit delusional, and he might have kidnapped Miquella while he lies dormant in his cocoon. And that story is quite funny, almost comedic, because you know Miquella was in his Halictree, right? He implanted himself in the weird female-looking statue, a tree statue basically, and he lies dormant, like growing the Halictree with his powers. And Melania was supposed to protect him. I mean, she's protecting that place from us, I guess. Why else would she fight us? Or maybe she's protecting herself, but she's sleeping. Because she fought Radahn and she almost died there, so she almost lost that fight, so she was exhausted and she slept. And I just imagine him like walking into the Halictree like it's nothing, grabbing that cocoon somehow and then walking out of there. He's probably using some of his blood pools to appear and disappear. Like, where was he before? Like, how does he emerge out of blood? He must have been somewhere before that, right? At another place. Maybe in a different dimension, maybe like it's just speculation where he exactly was. Was he like in a blood puddle in the cocoon? That's kind of weird. But basically his plan is to, I guess, make Mikola a god and then be the Elden Lord, basically. He wants to be the Elden Lord while Mikola is his god. Like, Marika is the god of this order right now, and who was it? Not John Elden Ring. What's his name? Godfrey? The one with the big axe, dude. Being the first Elden Lord. He wants to do the same thing, just with a different religion, not with the Earth Tree as the power, I guess, but with the Formless Mother. Something different. A different being. Maybe, I think, call an outer god or something. Who really cares, but he feels like royalty. And he looks much better than his brother, to be honest. Let's see if I can... Ooh, I can actually remove the clothing. At least part of it. Because that looks so goofy. Look at him. He's wearing this shirt thingy and then... You're not supposed to see that, but that looks so goofy. The way he's standing, like with this... like with his arms a little bit stretched out more, like not on his sides, and the he kind of reminds me of a frog, to be honest. Oh man, that's funny. Here he looks sophisticated. Oh man, that's so funny. All right. I guess that's enough stuff around that. Let's actually have a look at his moveset. Why can't I? Ah, it's bugged again, I can't attack. But he's basically using his types of magic. He's using blood magic that also inflicts bleeding on his targets. And let's actually go down from the staircase. He's talking a little bit during his attacks. Or at least he's grunting. Kinda hard to understand him. But his moveset right now is limited because he is in his first phase, where he's not really doing all that much. I mean, this is basically the same moveset he has during the fight in the Cathedral of the Forsaken. So nothing really special, but because this is my favorite soundtrack, let's have a listen at the music. Because the music itself, I really like the music here. And well, while he's doing all of these attacks, he is actually conjuring, like he's opening a portal, and then the blood that burns, the burning blood, is emerging from it. And this is supposed to be the blood of the Formless Mother, I think. Don't know how that works. Don't really want to know how that works. But he won't progress in the second phase without him getting hit a bunch of times. He needs to be low enough. And yeah, now he's starting to curse us. And this is the curse that you want to get rid of by drinking the purifying crystal tier. If you're doing this, of course, you can't just drink the flask outright. You have to wait until the curse is working, otherwise the buff will at some point go away. So you have to sacrifice something. You have to sacrifice one slot of your crystal tier, and you have to sacrifice the opportunity of using your crystal tier or your mixed physic at the beginning of the fight. He's slowly counting down from 3, I guess all of you know that by now. It's a meme. Well, not only a meme, it's also awesome. I guess this is one of the few boss fights where your opponent is actually talking. Let's see, okay. Come on. Go back to 1. Extend your moveset. Because I want to have a look at his second phase as well. Because he himself is transforming. Okay. We're at Unos now. Yeah. Yeah, it's hurting me. I don't know how much damage it's dealing to me, but just in case I'm healing myself there. I know I should be safe. But now he grew wings, his trident is on fire, and he's more aggressive. All his melee attacks with the trident are producing puddles of burning blood. He can fly now, and I want to have a look at him without the clothing again. I wish he could stand still for a second here, but I would like to see where the wings are actually coming out of. Like, I expect where the shoulder blades are. Not shoulder blades, but the... I don't know what it's called. Where you have your wings usually. Like... Well, it kind of feels like the complete version of the Misbegotten, really. Because the Misbegotten sometimes also have wings. They're winged Misbegotten with bows and arrows. And this seems to be the big version, and I don't know, seeing him like this, I don't think... Well, of course the Omen curse itself is only called a curse because people decided it to be a curse. It seems to be a blessing almost, at least to him. Of course he sacrificed an eye for this, but well, who really cares? He could have cut that horn off. But I guess the wings are his only visual transformation. He's of course more aggressive, more powerful during this phase, and I guess without the help of the Formless Mother he wouldn't even be able to reach this form. Or maybe he would, but definitely without the magic only. This is definitely one of the more harder boss fights. And it's definitely a change, because this is so limiting to the player, like the fire itself. And this is, to be honest, one of the, if not the best boss fights in the game. While Melania seems to be a little bit unfair at certain positions, or certain points, and I'm comparing this boss fight to Melania because Melania is also a contender for the hardest boss fight. I think Melania right now is the hardest boss fight, but Mohg itself isn't really easy either. Like, this is definitely, in my opinion, on the top 3 list of hardest boss fights in the game. And I guess that's fair because he is potentially one of the final bosses, or endgame boss at least. But his boss fight itself is actually a very good and fair boss fight. What do I mean by that? First of all, this is your second time probably fighting him. If you've discovered the boss fight, or if you've discovered his subterranean shunning ground counterpart or boss fight, then you already have fought his first phase. And his first phase is nothing really special. He is telling you some of his attacks so you can learn them fairly safely, and his attacks aren't as punishing. He has some unfortunate combos where you have to be very careful, especially when he rushes you with his weapon, like this attack right here, where he's dashing forward and poking you. And his second phase, you need to adapt. The second phase is properly telling you how to move, because otherwise you will be standing in one of these puddles. And the second phase is punishing, I'm not denying that, but it's also fair. They obviously could have improved this by telling him where to go so that he's not completely out of bounds for the player. Similar to a arena where certain spots on the arena are inaccessible in a certain interval, whatever. But even though they haven't done this, this boss fight is still pretty good. And it's definitely one of the better boss fights. Even though this is fairly difficult to learn. At least I had problems learning it. I haven't really mastered this boss fight, but oh well. And the music itself, like, now I want to talk about the music. Because as I said, my favorite OST. Well, I don't know how to talk about music. I guess I can tell it's fitting, but it fits his character of being royalty, and it almost feels like a dance. Like you can probably dance to that music fairly well. Not that I know anything about dancing, but it feels like something you can move to. And it's kind of reflected in his moveset as well. It has these... well, I don't even know how to describe music. So it has this rhythm that his attacks are following. He's not right on beat, of course not, because the AI is probably not connected to the music whatsoever, or the music to the AI. It's a fixed soundtrack that is being looped, but he attacks in a similar rhythm as the music is playing, which is amazing. I find this kind of fascinating how composers can compose music around characters, capturing their essence. And I guess that's also a very hard thing to do. I'm pretty sure like every art, you need to learn it until you actually can do it. But, well, I guess I need to wrap things up now because I'm running out of things to say here. So, get rid of him. And talk about his dialogue. Oh. Very nice. And oh, do you see that? Oh, and I'm fully bugged now. Very nice. He has actually a buff on him. I bled him out because my weapon is a bleed weapon, and he buffed himself, or he got buffed. This is not the character I'm usually doing this with, so I don't have any items on me, but he has a similar effect to the to Vare's mask and a specific talisman, I think, where when there is blood loss close by, then he's getting a damage boost. Well, of course it's fitting, but it's also... It's kind of an evil thing to do, really, because if we have a look at the wiki, we can actually see that he is susceptible to blood loss. So if you do blood loss on him, he also gets a buff. And of course, there's a lot of blood loss potential in his moveset. So you need to be fairly careful with that.
I can see it as clear as day. The coming of our dynasty. Mohg.
I don't really get why he's calling his name at the end. Isn't his name Mohg, or is his name only Mohg? Well, I don't really care. The dynasty is... maybe the dynasty is called Mohg, as he said. Yeah, I kind of wonder what the DLC will bring, to be honest. As of course revolving around Mikla. But I kind of wonder if this is past or future. Like if we're going back in the past, or if this is a future event. Maybe after this fight over here, that would be nice. But yeah, Mohg, Lord of Blood. I guess everyone knows why he's called that now, after the boss fight. I kind of wish we could talk to him after the boss fight, like we could talk to his brother, Morgoth. This would have been kind of good. Honestly, I wish we could talk to more bosses in this game. Because our protagonist is always silent, like, and for some reason everyone is, like, very sure about the fact that we want to kill them, right? Like, the fight always starts at the beginning. The same thing with Melania, and I'm going to talk about the design of Melania video about that thing as well. Like, we're just wandering in here, and then they're so offended that they will attack us. Same with Morgan now. He was welcoming us. Maybe I want to join him. Maybe I want to say, just hi. Like, why are we fighting? This is always the strange thing about these boss fights. We can't even talk. There's not even an option to talk afterwards, except with Morgoth. But yeah, Mohg, or Mohg, Lord of Blood. Let me know what you think about this boss fight. It's definitely one of my favorite boss fights in the game. Same with the boss fight against Morgoth. Also one of my favorite fights. And yeah, see you in the next video. That's it from me. Goodbye.